Hello, hockey card collectors. Welcome back to the Hockey Cards Gongshow Podcast. This is episode 54 on Sunday, February 5th. We're recording in the early afternoon. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy. What's up, Troy?
Not a whole lot. Lazy Sunday. The son doesn't have practice until later today, so have a little bit of free time. So let's record.
Free time is hard to find. I've had two kids in tournaments this weekend. Had to get up at 5 a.m. both Saturday and Sunday. And I swear, I think youth sports tries to punish parents almost more than anything. Well, Troy, we did have a unique experience, especially for you on Friday, where we joined the Dave and Adams The Chase podcast. It was your first foray into live video. How did that go for you?
I think it went well. I finally, a couple times I realized myself, I was like bouncing my knee or something. So it looked like I was going up and down, like, oh, we got to stop doing that. But that was great. It was fun. The guys were really great and went a lot quicker than I thought it would for the 30 to 40 minutes we were on. It just kind of flew by, but it was a lot of fun and hope we can join them again.
Yeah. Were you a little nervous going on live kind of internet TV for the first time?
I think I was until I started talking, then it kind of just went away.
Okay. Yeah. I was waiting for my hamster just has a medical emergency. I can't go on the show. You have to do it by yourself, Josh. Notification.
Well,
but that never came.
Here's what did happen though, because we were sitting there before, in the waiting room basically, and you're like, oh, hold on a sec, I gotta go do something. And I'm like, oh god, this is like on purpose kind of thing. You're just gonna let me go on there by myself and see what I can do.
All right. Troy, you had another thing in notes before we get started?
Oh, I did. If you looked at the show post and Instagram, a user pointed out that Troy did a Gong Show moment. He didn't really point it out. He put a hashtag, but I was talking about the Calgary Hitmen and the game against Connor Bedard's Regina team, and I accidentally called them the Calgary Stampede. Who knows why I did that? Probably thinking about the rodeo and the Calgary Stampede, but kind of a bonehead moment. But then I started thinking, well, I know there's a CFL team called the Calgary Stampeders. So maybe I was thinking about that, but who knows? But it's the Calgary Hitmen, so I apologize.
All right.
Gong Show moment.
Gong Show moment. That's what I like to call them. Very appropriate to our name here. Okay, Before we get started, just want to remind everyone, the Hockey Cards Gongshow Podcast is a Patreon podcast. That means that we truly rely on you, the listener, for support to help us cover our expenses in producing the show, continue to produce more and more better hockey card content, and help us fund initiatives to grow the hockey hobby in even a small way. Right now, you can still take advantage of our Out of 99 tier, and for only $5 a month, support the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast, get exclusive access to Discord, chat with us on the regular. And when you do so, we will give you a shout out on the next episode and even throw in a little plug for you. Plug whether you're a breaker or you just want to plug your Instagram or any sort of other card related initiative that you have. It's really easy to do to become a patron of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. All you have to do is you can go to hockeycardsgongshow.com, our website, and find the link there. You can go to the Patreon website, patreon.com. and search for the Hockey Cards Gong Show. You can visit the link in the show description for whatever podcast app you're listening to us on right now, or in our social media, in our link tree, we will have a link to Patreon there. All right, Trey, let's go with the game plan.
All right, on today's show, we begin with the greatest player to wear number 54. We then continue our Rookie Deep Dive series, doing a deep dive on Wyatt Johnston. Next, it is another installment of the Gongshow Gameshow. Let's see if Troy can get more than 0 answers correct. Who knows how many I got last time, but I'm sure it wasn't very many. I got 4. You actually looked?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if I can do better. Probably not. We then take a look at hobby news and do a quick look at some of the hockey cards in the current PWCC Premier Auction that is currently live. And we finish the show with new product releases. All right. Hockey's most famous number 54. However, before we start that, in another Gong Show moment, I forgot to mention on last episode, the number 53, Jeff Skinner. I forgot to mention his fun facts. So again, fantastic job by me. Complete Gong Show. Totally forgot to do that. My favorite part of the actual research is the fun facts, and I forgot them. So here is Jeff. What's up?
Do you feel your Hockey Cards Podcaster of the Year award slipping away?
Yeah, it probably is slipping away. They're like, man, the guy can't even remember, he skips his outline and his favorite section. He can't even do it anymore. So, yeah.
But you nailed the mailbag in last episode, too, though. You were dropping goalie knowledge bombs like they were just falling out of the sky, dude.
Yeah, I had lots of fun with the mailbag. Maybe that was it. Maybe I was so worked up on the mailbag that I forgot the fun facts. Let's get into Jeff Skinner. This is number 53 from last episode. He had 2 fun facts. Fun fact number 1, he was involved in both hockey and figure skating growing up and won a bronze medal in the juvenile division of the 2004 Canadian Junior National Figure Skating Championships. I love that. I wonder how many hockey players have done figure skating at some point or some kind of training like that. I know probably we've always heard that it probably helps you with balance and a bunch of stuff, but I don't know how many hockey players have truly done it. But
have you ever tried figure skates?
I've never tried them. The toe pick, I know there was that movie, I can't remember, Cutting Edge, where they make the hockey player become a figure skater for pairs figure skating, and the line toe pick is always used. I'm sure I would just fall over constantly.
Yeah.
All right, fun fact number 2. And this might have changed as of the All-Star game. I didn't look up the new stats, but Skinner at the time was the youngest player to ever play in an NHL All-Star game.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
Cute.
That was it. That was the 2 fun facts on him. So let's get going on number 54. So again, the most famous 54 per the Hockey Writer's Greatest Player to Wear Each Number article is David Jones. Josh, David Jones. Do you remember him?
Didn't he go by Davey, and wasn't he a singer in the Monkees?
That's the first thing I thought of, too, when I saw the name. Nope, David Jones. And actually, we should... I mean, I think I remember the name. I'm not 100% sure, but he did play for the Wild at one point. So that was...
Yeah, I'm looking at that, and I feel even more embarrassed. But no, I have no idea who this guy is.
All right. Overview. Right winger. Played 462 regular season games over a 9-season NHL career. Started his career playing 6 seasons with the Colorado Avalanche and ended his career with stints with Calgary and, as we mentioned before, our Minnesota Wild. This one is going to be short. Awards and accomplishments. No NHL hardware. However, in Troy's quest to at least find something, best I can do, he was Ivy League Player of the Year in 2006-07 with Dartmouth. And he was a finalist for the Hobie Baker Award that year, but he didn't win.
As far as Ivy League schools go, doesn't Dartmouth take hockey a little bit more seriously than the rest of them?
I think, and the problem with Ivy Leagues that they always have to deal with is you got to be smart. I mean, you got to be academically well off usually to go to those schools. So they're always hampered in that way a little bit, where they have that extra, admission criteria. But you also got to be smart.
Are you trying to say that the typical hockey player doesn't have a lot going on upstairs?
Well, I'm saying that a typical hockey player doesn't really have to worry about going to an Ivy League school and having like a 4.23 GPA.
Fair enough.
All right. During his regular season career, David Jones scored 104 goals, 87 assists for 181 points. He made the playoffs in 3 of his NHL seasons, compiling a stat line of 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points in 27 games played. So if we look at Jones, kind of the little bio, he was definitely known as a fast skater. He had a 6'2" frame, so he was in that large realm, but he could move really quick for how big he was. He was hampered by injuries. He had a torn ACL. He only played 70 or more games twice in his career. So he always had nagging injuries that kind of hampered his career. His best season was the 2010-11 season with Colorado, when he had 27 goals, 18 assists for 45 points in 77 games played. And actually that year he was tied for the team leading goals for the Colorado Avalanche. So definitely had one really good year of scoring. But again, it's kind of just a middling player that you've maybe heard in the periphery. But that's kind of the bio on David Jones. So not a lot to say. His fun facts. I am not going to miss fun facts this week. Made his debut with Colorado in a 4-3 victory over the New York Rangers on December 21st, 2007. However, by making his debut, he became the lowest selected Colorado Avalanche draft pick to ever play in the NHL. I believe he was the number 288th overall pick in the draft that he was in. Pretty cool.
Yeah, like Tom Brady, huh? A little bit different career.
Yeah, and who's the guy, the football guy? Is it Brock Purdy, who was the last player in the draft? Is that right?
Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant, yeah.
He made it, so yeah, it's kind of neat. This one I just put in because I think it's funny, because who it happened to. Scored a goal against the Minnesota Wild that deflected off a stick, then hit Matt Dumba in the face and went into the net.
Wow.
And knowing Dumba, like I know he's always kind of looking around. He seems neurotic at times. And just I can imagine that goal hitting him in the face and going right in, and then just seeing. Obviously, I hope he wasn't injured too bad, but just seeing his reaction, like, oh, here we go. I thought that was an interesting fact. So that's his fun facts. Not a whole lot. All right, I guess I'm pretty sure everyone in the world knows where this is going with his cards. All right, his rookie, he doesn't have a Young Guns. He doesn't have an SPA Future Watch Auto. So I went with the third one that we talked about, those kind of rookie cards that we say are the three main ones. He does have a 2007-08 Upper Deck, the Cup Patch Auto, out of 249. So I used that as his rookie card, which really doesn't matter because, as you're going to see, doesn't have a lot of sales or graded copies. The raw version of his rookie sold for $2.25 on July 11th, 2022 via eBay.
And that's a Cup rookie?
Yep. A Cup Patch Auto out of 249.
I put a pin in that for a second. Remember, $2.25.
I was wondering if you were going to say something about that because we've talked about that before, like the values. But anyways, there are raw versions of this card available on eBay. They're way overpriced, using that last comp. But obviously, if you want it, make an offer.
How do you get a Cup RPA and not a Young Gun?
Yeah, it was weird. Like, unless someone could show me that I missed it, I didn't see it out there. And I looked in trading card database, and then I did an eBay search, just did David Jones Young Guns, Future Watch Auto, nothing. But he does have the Cup card. All right.
This has to be like the worst one we've done, right? The biggest dud.
Well, he does have graded copies of his cards. I think that was more.
But I'm saying like 181 points in a career.
Oh,
is
yeah,
the greatest player to wear an NHL jersey.
Yeah, they on the article, if I remember right, they said we've had some like really slim pickings at some numbers, but this one is really low, like of who you could take. So yeah, it might be the lowest point total. I'll have to go back and look. He only has 2 graded cards of him ever in the PSA database. Both are the 2007 Upper Deck via player card. Don't ask me why those are the 2, but that's what it was in PSA. For BGS, he has 3 graded copies of cards, and they're all different. It's the 2007-08, the Cup card, 2007-08, the Cup Gold Rainbow Autographed Rookie Patch card, and the 2007-08, the Cup Printing Plates Ultimate Collection Yellow. We are not even going to go into comps because I could barely find any sales except for that raw one. And if you do find sales of him, they're going to be super low.
Gotcha.
That's what we got. David Jones, interesting.
I'm assuming 55 has got to be better.
Yeah, 55 is definitely someone we've heard of.
Praise the Lord. All right, let's go into this week's Rookie Deep Dive. Right, it's our 16th Rookie Deep Dive. So far, we've covered Matty Beniers, Matt Boldy, Shane Wright, Garrett Slavkovsky, Owen Power, Shane Pinto, Kalen Addison, JJP, John Jason Paterka, Logan Thompson, Ken Johnson, Jack Quinn, unrelated to Jack Hughes or Quinn Hughes, Arbor Jacki, Andrea Kuzmenko, Pyotr Kochekov, Bo Perfetti. So we did another Instagram poll. Gave 4 options this week. The Flyers' Noah Cates, Wyatt Johnston, Matthias Michelli, and Juuso Parssinen. Winner, chicken dinner, Troy. Finally, we've had a number of Stars fans that have been waiting for Wyatt Johnston. So we're going to do a deep dive this week on the young Stars forward Wyatt Johnston, who's a right-handed shot rookie. Very, very young, Troy, only 19. Comes from Canada. Bigger kid, 6'1", 185 pounds. So he's not teeny tiny like a lot of the other sort of interesting prospects that we're looking at right now from a NHL and hockey card perspective. Johnston was the 23rd pick in the 2021 NHL entry draft. It's from the Toronto area, Troy. And before being drafted by the Windsor Spitfires of the OHL, he played for a AAA and Greater Toronto Hockey League team called the Toronto Marlboros. And so I was really confused at first. I'm like, wait a minute, they're sponsored by Cowboy Killers?
Yeah, it can't be really the cigarette brand. I hope not.
I think it's just an unfortunate name.
Yeah.
I don't even think there are Marlboros in Canada, are there?
I have no idea. You know what I want? I think now that you read the teams like the Windsor Spitfires, I really think we should just start making up team names and just see how much we get called out on. Like, but they got to be relatively close. So Spitfires has to be something like Spitwaters or something. I don't know, but I think we should start doing that just because that would kind of fit the show.
And then I'm like going through all these like mental exercises, like daydreaming of a AAA team sponsored by a cigarette company, and because there'd be like the Marlboro Smoking Lounge in the in the arena or something like that. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. But
well, I do remember going to the Metrodome for the Minnesota Twins games, and they used to have like in the '80s and big Marlboro like advertisement up by the scoreboard. So
oh yeah. I remember that too. So again, unfortunate kind of name, and just happens to be the same as Cowboy Killers there. But so he goes from the Marlboros to the OHL and playing for the Windsor Spitfires. In his second year there, Troy, he had 46 goals, 78 assists for 124 points and 68 games played. Not only pretty good, but good enough to win the CHL Top Scorer Award as a leading scorer in the CHL, which honestly is the first hockey award I've ever seen not named after some ancient dignitary of the game. It's literally called the CHL Top Scorer Award, which is it seems so strange for hockey that it should be like the Iverson Cup or something like that.
Yeah, usually it has some cool name, but I guess not.
So the important thing I think there from a Hockey Cards perspective is, we talked about this before too, it gives you that goal scoring pedigree that you like to point to, especially evaluating the first half season of a young NHL player like Wyatt Johnston. Read a bunch of articles on Johnston leading up to the draft, kind of like scouting report type stuff. Didn't find any great quotes, and so I kind of listed the attributes that you typically saw. And on the positive side, the hardworking, kind of relentless motor, willing to crash to the net, a lot of high hockey IQ, which feels like that gets a little overdone at times. But nonetheless, they gave him that. On the negative side, not maybe the most elite skater and a need to develop a better shot. What was interesting in almost all the articles that I pulled up, basically almost everyone projected him as a good, but a bottom kind of six kind of guy. Right? A motor guy, energy guy, work around the net type of guy. So he gets drafted into the NHL and makes the team right away. So he did not get the Shane Wright treatment this year. Started with the team, has played all 51 games. So far, Troy has 13 goals, 9 assists for 22 points. He's tied for 6th in rookie scoring. His 13 goals puts him at a tie for 2nd, 4 behind Matty Beniers for the lead. And he's currently centering the third line with wingers Jamie Benn and Ty Delandria. I actually asked a friend of the show, K-Sits Reed, who's a big Dallas Stars guy, the other day for his opinion on Johnston. And he's been very impressed. And this is going to be a little bit of a homer take, right? It's like asking us a wild question. They have to kind of couch it a little bit. But I think especially for his age, and he feels that he is really contributing and that he thinks that he has top 6 potential. We'll see. From a Hockey Cards perspective, all signs are pointing to Johnston as a Series 2 Young Guns, which checklist is not out yet as of right now. We should see that release in the next month or two. And I believe that one of the consensus, or my thought, is that Wyatt Johnston will be one of the bigger chases in Series 2.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, that's a guy I think we all think is going to be kind of the top guy in Series 2, but we'll see.
I think a lot will depend on how he does over the next month before it comes out, too. All right. We want to do a quick mention for our friend and partner, Stand Up Displays, and thank them for sponsoring our show, helping us to produce the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. A reminder that getting a custom stand or two for displaying or showing off your PC, your newest mail day cards, is having these displays makes it so much better. They have a fantastic product called Direct Print, where you just come up with any design that you want and send it to them, and they print it right on the stand. It happens really fast. You get them right away. It's awesome. If you don't want a custom stand, they have some pre-made ones for like McDavid, Ovi, Crosby, etc. I just saw they had I think a McKinnon style one, number 29, in the jersey of the Avalanche colors. So that's a new one you can go see at standupdisplays.co. Best news, Troy, if you use the promo code Gongshow at checkout, you can save 10%. Who doesn't want to save 10%? And then, so go to standupdisplays.co, check out all the stands, use code Gongshow, save 10%. And when you get a stand or two and you take some photos of your cards, make sure you tag us on those because we can see what kind of stand you had designed.
Yeah, they also, if you look at their Instagram, they showed off the new kind of jersey stands that they have too as well.
All right, Troy, you ready for this?
I guess. Let's do this.
Let's cue the music. It's a Gongshow Game Show. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Gongshow Gameshow. I'm your host, Josh Madigan. Let's meet today's contestant. He loves hockey goalies, making his mom smile, and saying the word muchacho. Let's meet Troy Iverson.
Oh, so cute.
Hey, Troy. Welcome to Gongshow Gameshow.
Glad to be here. Yep, I'm glad to be here. I need to do better than last time, which I'm already psyching myself out that I won't, because like we said, we know nothing about our show that we've said in the past, and I probably can't remember anything I've talked about. So let's do it.
Okay, Troy, here's how the game works. We're going to ask you 10 hockey card related questions. If you get 7 or more right, then you win a fantastic prize. Would you like to find out what you're playing for today, Troy?
I guess, even though I don't think I'll get it. What am I playing for?
Well, today's grand prize is a 1990 Upper Deck Wayne Gretzky PSA 9, Troy, which was valued at over $150 US during the pandemic. Any questions before we get started, Troy?
Nope, I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm just waiting with bated breath for the questions.
And remember, you too can play at home. Just jot down your score and let us know what you got on our social media. Okay, Troy, it's time to play Gongshow Gameshow Hockey Card IQ.
All right, let's do it.
Question 1. The 2020 Kirill Kaprizov PSA 10 has the 4th highest pop count of any hockey card. At 2,799 pop count, what card has the 5th highest pop count? This is multiple choice. Is it the 2015 Connor McDavid PSA 10 Young Guns, the 2016 Austin Matthews Young Guns PSA 10, or the 1985 Topps Mario Lemieux PSA 8?
I am going to go with, I'm going to go Austin Matthews.
You got it right, Troy. You're
All
1
right,
for 1
I
on
knew
Hockey
that.
Card IQ.
I got that one. I knew that one because we've talked about that one enough that it just got cinched in my head that was the one. I think we even mentioned when we did the Kirill stuff that the one below it was Austin Matthews. So, all right, I got one. At least I didn't get skunked.
What a fantastic start. All right, question 2. In order of oldest to youngest,
Oh, God. Hold on. Let me
name
get a pen.
the 3 NHL Hughes brothers.
Oh, jeez. Jack Hughes. Wait, let me just make sure I get all 3. Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes. There's another one. There's one not in the NHL, right?
2 play for the Devils. 1 may be a prospect.
Yeah, so I'm going to say Prospect Hughes is the youngest. Quinn Hughes is the next one, and then the oldest is Jack Hughes?
Oh, I'm sorry, Troy.
I flipped.
The correct order is Quinn Hughes is the oldest, then Jack Hughes, followed by Luke Hughes.
I'm such a dummy because obviously we've been talking about Jack Hughes and how young he is, and he's just dumb. Yep, that makes sense.
Question 3.
I panicked.
This is a vintage question. According to Card Ladder, whose PSA age rookie is currently most valuable? This is a multiple choice question. Is it the Gordie Howe 1951 Parkhurst PSA 8? Or is it the Maurice Richard 1951 Parkhurst PSA 8? Or the Bobby Orr 1966 Topps PSA 8?
What was the option for the Gordie Howe? Is it the Parkhurst?
51 Parkhurst.
Okay, I'm saying Gordie Howe Parkhurst.
Oh, I'm sorry, Troy. It's actually the 51 Maurice Richard Parkhurst, which is currently valued at $54,000 US, compared to the Gordie Howe at $51,000.
Well, I don't feel so bad. They're close, but not. I should. Yeah. Okay.
Question 4. This is another multiple choice question. The Connor McDavid Young Guns has a total gem mint population between all 4 major grading companies, PSA, SGC, DGS, and CSG, of, is it 10,600, 12,900, or 9,400?
Total gems between all of them. I am going to go with, I'm going to go with the middle one. Was it 10,600?
It's 10,600, 12,900, or 9,400.
I'm going 10,600.
You got it right, Troy.
Oh,
You're 2 for 4.
That's just a
on Hockey Cards IQ. Question 5. At a current value of $140 US, the 2020 Alexis Lafreniere Young Guns is still more valuable than which two of these three cards? The 2016 Josh Morrissey Young Gun PSA 10, the 2019 Adam Fox Young Gun PSA 10, or the 2014 Johnny Gaudreau Young Gun PSA 10. Two of the three is less valuable than the Alexis
What was the
Lafreniere
value
Young
on the
Gun.
Lafreniere?
140 US.
So I'm going to say it is more valuable than the Morrissey and the Adam Fox.
You got it right, Troy.
All right. That's where I use some of our knowledge that we've talked about on the show and kind of defenseman, and that's why that's why you chose Fox and over Gaudreau. Wow.
There you go.
Learning something.
Question 6. Rank these three players in order from most to least by who sold the most hockey cards in January of 2023 between Cale Makar, Trevor Zegras, and Jason Robertson.
Robertson won. Zegras 2, Makar 3rd.
Oh, Troy barely missed it. It's Zegras 1, Robertson 2, then Makar.
All right.
You're 3 of 6. Not too bad. Need to go on a run to get the grand prize here. Question 7. Which of these three hockey cards was the most submitted to PSA for grading in January of 2023? Kirill Kaprizov Young Guns, Matty Beniers Young Guns, or Cole Caulfield?
I should know this. We went over it. We posted on Instagram about it. Cole Caulfield.
You got it, Troy.
There we go. I remember that
4 of 7. Question 8. So far, Matty Beniers, Matt Boldy, and Owen Power are the most submitted 2022 Young Guns. Can you name 2 of the 4 next most submitted players for grading?
They have to be Young Guns? Or are they just...
Yeah, 2022 Young Guns.
Oh, geez. Boy, I know I'm going to kick myself. I'm going to sit here and pause for a little bit because I'm trying to think of 2022, 23 Young Guns. I will go with Kachekov.
That's 1. You need to name 2 of the next 4 most. You've got 1.
Got 1. The sad thing is I don't even know any. I can't even think off the top of my head of another one. If I was smart, I'd be typing and trying to look this up. 2022. I don't know another guy. I can't even think off the top of my head.
Oh, Troy, you were so close. The 3 other you could have mentioned were Marco Rossi.
I thought of him, but I was like, no way is he up there. But I guess I was.
Or Kent Johnson.
Oh, I should have known him. We talked about him enough.
Or Jack Quinn. Unrelated to Jack Hughes.
The Quinn, I just let that slip my brain because they confuse me too much.
2 more left, Troy. You're at 4. You need to get one of these 2 right to beat your last performance on Gongshow Gameshow. Question 9. Rank these young goalie prospects, Young Guns PSA 10 values in order from most valuable to least valuable. The prospects are Ilya Sorokin, Logan Thompson, and Jake Ottinger.
This is their PSA 10s?
PSA 10 Young Gun, most valuable to least valuable. Sorokin, Thompson, Ottinger.
I'm going to go Sorokin, Ottinger, Thompson.
Ooh, really
Ottinger's
close.
1?
It was Sorokin, Thompson, Ottinger.
Oh, Thompson's more than Ottinger.
Right in the order I said him. Trying to trick you. All right, Troy. This is your last chance to beat your last Gongshow Game Show performance. In the 1952 Parkhurst hockey set, what player is the most valuable rookie card?
Jeez. Oh, we just went over it probably with Jeremy Lee and Tim Horton.
You got it, Troy.
Yes. Okay, I remembered that one. Popped in my head. All right.
Yeah, that was the purpose of the question, to see if you were paying attention to the Jeremy Lee masterclass.
I literally had to stop and almost replay that interview, or just think about what he was saying when he did 51, and then he got 52. And I remember he started off with the Tim Horton, and that's how I knew that was the most valuable one. All right, I don't feel so bad. Some of those are tough. I don't feel too bad. I have failed miserably on the 2022-23 Young Guns one. It's like my mind just went blank when we started talking about that.
Well, that was our final question, Troy, so let's see how you did. You got 5 of 10 right. That means you didn't win our grand prize, but we do have a consolation prize for you, Troy.
Sweet.
For participating on the Gongshow Gameshow Hockey Cards IQ, you win every Ryan O'Reilly insert from the 2021 Upper Deck catalog of hockey
I think
sets.
I already have them all. I don't need them. I have every Ryan O'Reilly insert, I'm pretty sure.
What do you think about that prize? You happy? Excited?
I'll just add to my collection. I have tons of Ryan O'Reillys.
All right, well, that's our show for today. Special thanks to our contestant, Troy. I'm your host, Josh, and we'll see you next time on Gongshow Gameshow. All right, Troy, that was fun on a little Gongshow Game Show episode there. Now we're going to move on to the hobby news and turn it over to you as our Gongshow official all-star reporter.
Yeah, my boots on the ground, I guess. I should have actually went to it. I watched some highlights. that was about good enough for me. But anyways, NHL All-Star Game. So if you did see, Upper Deck did release an Instagram video from the All-Star Game or festivities of Ovechkin signing cards. We're pretty sure they were stature. It's an upcoming release, so they showed the video Ovi signing the different like parallels and stuff. So it was pretty interesting to see. It's always these. I'm sure when you get all these players into one spot, you can get a lot of stuff done with the on-card autos that you need to get done. So, and probably why one of the reasons Upper Deck is a main sponsor of the All-Star festivities in the game and everything, so they can be there.
I'm sure they had a lot of people signing.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you get them all in one place, go for it. All right, so now the All-Star Game itself. I said, let's go over some highlights and maybe some lowlights from the whole NHL All-Star weekend. I think it was kind of a mixed bag. So obviously they had their skills competitions, and the ones that we're used to. Brock Nelson won the accuracy shooting competition with a time of 12.419 seconds. However, if you saw McDavid's opening round, he had a time of 9.497 seconds. It was crazy. He's just like, dunk, dunk, dunk. All right, I'm done. But then he lost his semifinal matchup. So since they have to go against another person, your time basically gets thrown out from whatever previous round, and you just got to beat the next guy. So he didn't make it to the final. But Brock Nelson won that.
It's like the home run derby, right? Where
yeah.
You could have 100 home runs in round one and 6 in round two and be out.
Yeah, it's like home run derby. It's like you should stop hitting home runs once you want so you don't wear yourself out. For hardest shot, we had Elias Pettersson won with a top speed of 103.2 miles per hour. For some reason, I didn't look this up, but I felt like Al Iafrate back in the day hit like 109, or Al McInnes. I figured they had some rockets as well, but I didn't look at what their top speeds were. Fastest skater, Andrei Svechnikov. I got that one right.
Yeah.
I'm always intrigued by fastest skater because it's the one that it's like, I don't know if I'd participate in that if I'm worried about my health, because it just takes one spill to go crashing into the boards, which we did see with Cale Makar. Now, they did have padding lined up around the walls and everything, but Makar had a pretty big wipeout on his run.
Yeah, what would happen if like a guy like him tore his ACL or something like that?
Oh, yeah, I got to believe that the teams hate this, and they just sit there and close their eyes and hope for the best. And then we also had the breakaway challenge. Crosby and Ovechkin won with the help of Ovechkin's son, Sergei, who came down on Roberto Luongo and scored a sweet goal. And I will say this. I don't know if you follow Luongo, his Instagram or just interviews. He is like a national treasure. He is fantastic to listen to. He's so self-deprecating and just has a really good perspective of his career and everything. So it was great to see him in net, obviously with being in Florida.
Well, that was kind of sweet of him. He basically tried to make a flurry save on Ovi's son, flopped all over the place in a very dramatic style, and let the kid score a goal. So
yeah, it was interesting. And then if you saw the mic'd up stuff, they had Ovechkin's son sitting next to Kaprizov, and they're kind of chatting, and it's kind of fun. Ovi seemed like he enjoyed it too. They did add 3 new events this year, which they got to add new things. The All-Star Game at the end of the day is probably trying to get a lot of kids to watch it, become fans, get involved. But they had one of the things was splash shot. And I'm just going to read the description. They have 8 shooters, 2 from each team, went to the beach in Fort Lauderdale trying to hit targets in an attempt to dunk their opponent. So let's start. Winner was Cale Makar and Mikko Rantanen. I watched this, and my God, did it seem like they just were kind of bored. They had the pucks lined out, and they're hitting these surfboards, and sometimes they'd fall over. Sometimes they wouldn't. At the end, they hit a target and knock the guy in the water. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite, but it was interesting. I'll say that. Next new one was the Pitch and Puck, a combination of golf and hockey, where 6 players competed on a par 4 hole with an island green. Winner was Nick Suzuki. I didn't watch this. Josh, did you watch this one at all? I mean, I did see like pulling out the golf clubs and stuff. It was weird. I just didn't interest me.
No, it was a little bit of a stretch. They were obviously trying to tie in hockey to the Florida beach.
Yep.
Which is kind of weird to begin with.
And there's also a connection to a lot of hockey players are really, really good golfers. There's just there's a natural transfer of ability there. So it's kind of interesting what they did, but it was, I don't know, wasn't my thing. And then the last new one was the Tendy Tandem, where goalies worked as partners while showcasing their shooting skills. That was fun. I liked when they were, trying to score goals and they had the cutout on the net, so they had to get it right down the middle. Winner was Connor Hellebuck and Juicy Saros. So I will say this, the events were interesting, but if you watched, I mean, I had to watch highlights, but I did watch some like uninterrupted clips, and it seems like there was just lots of downtime, and some of the events looked like the players weren't trying that hard or weren't really into it. And I just put Splash Shot. To me, was still weird. It is what it is. They got to try new things. I get it. So I bet they all had fun. And then
do you like the tournament aspect of the actual All-Star game?
Yeah,
does that like interest you a little at all?
I thought that was a little more interesting for when they actually tried. Again, it's all about trying. And at the end of the day, the Atlantic beat the Central in the championship game 7-5. Matthew Tkachuk was the MVP. Won a Honda something car or truck. I can't
Seems
remember.
A little convenient, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's always the conspiracy theory how those guys usually win it when they're in their hometown. But again, it just showed, you saw during this whole thing, Chucks, they have great personalities. They're one of those people that just, I think, thrive on the camera in front of their face. They showed Brady, showed Matthew, they showed the dad up in the stands, Keith, and some other things that I saw in the games. There was a really good one. It was the Atlantic and Metro. It seemed like they were going a little all out, so that was fun to watch. And then I really thought the goalies were trying in the All-Star game because the goalies are always want to get pounded on. Final scores like 8-2. In the old days, it would be like 16-15. These crazy scores. And actually, we read an interesting quote. It was from Connor Hellebuck, and some reporter asked him like, "Are you going to try like during the All-Star game? Do you try?" And he said the first time he made the All-Star game, he really didn't try that much. He kind of went through the motions, and then he started talking to Pekka Rinne. And asked Pekka if he's trying, and Pekka was like, yes, I'm going to try. I'm going to go all out because I want him to get a shutout. And it was kind of interesting how Hellebuck said he changed his tune after talking to Pekka Rinne. So it was just a fun little story that I enjoyed. A couple more news items that came out or didn't come out. Toronto is selected to host the 2024 NHL All-Star Game. So that will probably be pretty cool. You won't be able to go to the beach.
Can I say something controversial?
Yeah. Uh-oh, say it.
I think that's a mistake.
Is it because it's in winter and in Toronto?
No, obviously Toronto deserves it.
I didn't know if you
one of the epicenters of hockey. I would just either put every All-Star game in the U.S. or maybe even in Europe, get crazy and give a week and a half break and bring because it's kind of what do they call it? Like a exposition, right? Is really more so than a game. And it's basically
exhibition.
Exhibition. Yeah. Meant to be a big advertisement for your league. And so why not bring it over to Europe and show off all your best players?
Yeah.
Help grow the game. Like I said, you don't even have to make the case that Toronto deserves it because everyone knows it does, but it's preaching to the choir, I guess, is my point.
I can see that. All right. And then I guess in news that was not announced, there was absolutely no mention of Bobby Hull's passing during the All-Star festivities. I find that very telling or interesting because we know he was a fantastic, great hockey player in the Hall of Fame. It seemed like maybe some of the personal stuff made the NHL take a little pause on mentioning that during the All-Star game. Thought that was something worth noting.
My general opinion on All-Star games is that they're really important, but they're for kids. It's kind of, as a kid, especially I think the skills competitions, that's where I would argue that the NHL didn't need the crazy like beach game or whatever. Those skills competitions are pretty awesome in of itself and almost better than anything you see in any other sports all-star game. Really highlight those.
Yeah, and they're doing, I will say that I think the breakaway thing's turning kind of like the slam dunk where it's like all prop driven now. It's like, what prop can I bring out to be just absolutely crazy? And I don't think it worked on some of them this year. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a thing to get kids involved or get kids watching the game. The players, I'm sure, have a little nice vacation, but the ones that participate, you never know what their thoughts are. I'm sure they might want to be at home. I'm sure they get a nice bonus check, but that's about it.
I would do like $1 million breakaway challenge, and the skater that makes it to the final round, the $1 million goes between the goalie and the skater. Would that be awesome?
Be interesting. We get a sponsor for it. It'd probably be pretty cool. I did see they had Sarah Nurse out there from Team Canada on the women's side.
That was awesome.
She did a breakaway on I saw the one against Shesterkin, I think, is the one I saw.
Yeah, she scored, I believe, too. All right. Another kind of important NHL topic related to TV. So, Troy, you had mentioned on our last show very briefly that a report that came out a few days ago with not some so great news about TV ratings for the NHL in the 2022-23 season so far, apparently down 20%. That's, of course, not what we're looking for. I feel really strongly that the growth and exposure of the league are really tied directly to the potential growth of the hockey hobby. And so this news kind of hurts us hockey collectors, too. And most would agree that the United States, Troy, is probably the most important growth market for the NHL. How much more room is there to grow in Canada when everyone seems to love hockey anyways?
Yeah.
Right? It needs to grow more here. And so to see our ratings are down 20% is not a good sign. Now, that being said, there's a whole bunch of like silver lining articles that came out that had some pretty good explanations as to why the ratings are down so much. And I thought that The Athletic had I think one of the best ones. And so I guess, Troy, here's the rationale. Remember that the U.S. national TV deal is broken up between ESPN and TNT. And so for ESPN, for some reason, they made the decision to use NHL hockey games on Sunday nights as counter-programming against Sunday Night Football, which is basically code for throwing out any show to die as a sacrificial lamb against one of TV's biggest juggernauts that there is. And so, like what the Athletic article pointed out, Troy, is if you took away the games aired on Sunday night as counter-programming against the NFL, the viewership would actually be up versus last year. So the question is, why are they doing this? Why would ESPN pay the money to acquire the NHL rights and then put them in a slot where you typically see like a bowling or dart league or I mean, it's really bad programming because they know that most of the TV share is going to be watching the NFL game at the time. And I would even go a step further, going maybe back to our critique against the NHL and maybe even Gary Bettman a little bit, to sign a TV deal that allows them to do this is, I think, a really bad strategic move by the NHL. The other thing that has been pointed out, and I've experienced a lot in my own, trying to watch the Wild this year, is a lot of the ESPN games are behind the ESPN Plus paywall. Meaning if you don't have an ESPN Plus subscription or ESPN Plus is not included in one of the current streaming subscriptions that you have, you can't watch the game. So the plan seems to be, or the thought is that we desperately want people to see the sport. So if they watch the games, they might see players they like, might become a fan. And apparently, according to the NHL and ESPN, the best way to do that is to either pit games against Sunday Night Football or put them behind a paywall. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then there's another kind of wrinkle in all this that just kind of came out. So a lot of hockey games in local markets here are in the Twin Cities where we live. It's Bally Sports North. I can't remember what the parent company of Bally Sports North is, but they're called regional sports networks. And the biggest one that has a lot of these NHL games actually either did or is going to declare bankruptcy. So that's all up in limbo too. What's going to happen with these local TV regional sports networks and how that?
I'll get to more of those in a second.
You might say it later. I apologize if I skipped that, but
no, you didn't. It's actually a really good point. So now skipping to the TNT side a little bit, TNT games are down 16% over last year so far, and they've aired 36 games this season, averaging 359,000 viewers. The big issue here is that a minimum of at least 7 of these games have been affected by regional blackouts.
Well,
that goes back, Troy, to these regional sports networks. The example given in the Athletic article was the game featuring the NHL world beaters, the Boston Bruins, right, who are on the biggest tear of terrors, just dominating the league. One of their recent games was blacked out in all of New England because of the NESN, N-E-S-N network owns the rights to the Bruins. Again, you're blacking out all of New England, the Bruins' basic fans, from seeing the national broadcast game, which has the TNT crew, and I think they've done a pretty good job of mimicking the Inside the NBA show, right, and made that kind of fun and entertaining. It's just, this whole thing is mind-blowing to me. But to make sure everyone's caught up on the U.S. NHL TV situation, here's where we stand. So ESPN's either putting games against the NFL or behind a paywall, and TNT, has a great panel, the great show, and they're facing repeatedly blacked out games in key areas. And I guess whether you think these explanations are reasonable or not, as far as explaining the lack of the viewership, that's kind of like winning the battle and losing the war, because excuses aside, 20% of less people are watching NHL games this year, and that is not going to help us grow the game. And it's a huge problem. Troy, we talked a lot about the opportunity that the NHL currently has. You got this potential all-time great McDavid, who's in his prime, doing things that haven't been done in a long, long time as far as point producing. There's a large group of flashy, interesting, young, fun prospects that I think could drive a lot of kids into the game. Like, you see all these clips now, these fancy goals, right, on social media, and the caption is the Zegras effect. And I just feel like the NHL is crapping the bed again on this situation. This does not happen in the NBA, right? So I have the unique situation. My daughter plays hockey. My son plays basketball. My daughter and I love to watch Wild games together. My son and I love to watch Timberwolves games together. I never have a problem ever finding the Timberwolves game. It's not even an issue. Every time the Wild are playing, me and my daughter look at each other and be like, well, I wonder if they'll even be on TV. It's 2023, and the NHL is stuck in the mud. They're like in the 50s. The whole idea, Troy, of a blackout to me is absurd, right?
The blackout thing is stupid.
Was, well, people won't want to go see the games in person if they can watch them on TV. That's such backwards, antiquated thinking. The NHL should...
I'm going to give you an example. You want to hear how dumb blackout rules are? I lived, obviously, at one point in my life in Iowa. And the state of Iowa during Major League Baseball season is blacked out from the Twins, the Cubs, White Sox, Royals, and there's another one. I think there's 5 teams they're blacked out from, because you're expected, if you live in Iowa, to go drive to those games.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe baseball can afford that. I can tell you the NHL can't. They need anyone possible that would want to watch a game to have the ability to watch it. Let's make this game accessible, because that will create fans. And then guess what? Then fans will want to come see a game in person. That's what happens. I have one more kind of rant along these lines, and it's not exactly about TV, but I'm not sure if you've noticed this. I have in a big way this year. Who makes the NHL schedule? You have no idea how many Friday, Saturday nights that, even if I know the Wild aren't playing, where I'll go to ESPN and check out the NHL schedule and say, oh, I wonder who's playing, what games we can follow tonight. And there'll be 2 games on a Friday night or 3 games on a Saturday night. Are they out of their mind?
Yeah, I don't know how the whole schedule process is made. Obviously, there's a lot of logistics that go in. And I always wonder where collective bargaining agreement falls kind of sometimes with the scheduling agreements that go in. But yeah, you would think you'd want a little bit more than 2 or 3 games on a Friday or Saturday night.
And again, it's not in every case, but when it should never happen. And you would, whether collectively bargained or not, you would think that the NHL could go to the NHLPA and say, hey, wouldn't it be great if we all made more money? Guess what? We have 32 teams. Let's play more than 2 games on a Saturday night. Seems a little obvious to me. I don't know. And I know, Troy, I obviously didn't graduate college with my PhD in sports broadcast journalism. But I guess to end this discussion, here's how I would fix it. Number one, I would never sign a TV deal that allows a network to bury my games into the schedule where no one will watch them and embarrass my league by putting it in a time spot that that like the National Dart Throwing Championships typically goes into. I would never allow them to put it behind a paywall when you're desperately trying to expose your game to more people. That's the exact opposite of what that does. It limits the amount of people that can see you play. And then I would end all blackouts. Again, it's 2023. It's not a binary choice anymore in how we interact with content, whether it be live and in person or in TV, like it was it's not 1985. Stop pretending it is, and make your game available to anyone and everyone, wherever they are, on whatever device, or if they want to go see it in person or watch it on their watch or do whatever, they should be able to see an NHL game. Amen. Any other thoughts, Troy, before we move on?
No, I like where your thoughts are. I was always curious because at one time, baseball has MLB Game Pass, right? Where, again, I have to subscribe to it, but then I get every single out-of-market game, right? I can't get my home game. And I'm just wondering, at one point I know the NHL had something like that, and I think they got rid of it with the whole deal, or it's only available in certain countries where you can do it. I don't think the U.S. anymore because of the ESPN deal. They kind of, I actually looked right now. If you look for NHL TV, they actually send you to ESPN Plus and try to have you sign up there. I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I feel like I know what's wrong. I just don't have the solution, but I know they need to change because it's not working. And I just figure out ways to get more people access to watch these games. That's the first step.
When you're in a position of strength, like you're like the NFL with the biggest audience of all, then you can create paywalls and make people pay for extra content. I would argue the NHL is in the exact opposite position. Mm-hmm. They need more people to watch them. So having strategies that result in less viewers seems crazy to me.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
Just me. So that was our NHL kind of section of hobby news. Now more onto the sports card related stuff. I think I sent you this the other day, Troy, but COMC, Check Out My Cards, and just announced that they're partnering with grading company CSG to offer integrated grading services for their cards. So COMC is a very large marketplace, typically raw sports and other trading cards. And they claim to have now 30 million raw cards in their marketplace. So any card that you own in your account, you can just have it submitted through COMC to CSG and get it graded. The other note there is that COMC also has a direct relationship with Upper Deck and ePack for giving you the ability to sell your cards off of ePack, go right to COMC. So now in theory, you could buy a pack or a box on ePack, open it, transfer it to COMC, and then have it graded without you ever really touching
Yeah.
So thought that's kind of interesting. I will say though, because I'm curious on pricing, and here we go again, Troy, with another grading card company just fumbling this whole overly confusing, ridiculous, complicated pricing schedule. And I'm going to go through it, but do you think you want to take a Xanax before I proceed, or are you going to be okay?
It's funny. I looked at the show notes and I went immediately right to that, and it's like 7 bullet points, and I'm just like, oh, here we go. I'm like, now as our resident grading expert, wink, wink. I'm doing the air quotes. I just, for the life of me, cannot get over how sometimes complicated this stuff is.
Yeah, here I'm going to go climb back on my soapbox again for another rant. And I've said it before, but I'm going to keep saying it. Make it simple. Make it so easy to understand, right? If you're going to have options, have A, B, C. That's what every company does that successfully sells to your pricing. Good, better, best. A, B, C. Fast, faster, fastest, right? Yep. Whatever the key differentiation is between the pricing, not what I'm about to say now. So if you do have a card in the COMC marketplace and you want CSG grading, looks like there's 5 different options. There's bulk, again, with a maximum value, $250. Estimated 8-week turnaround time is $15 a card. Then there's economy with a $500 maximum value, estimated 4-week turnaround time, $18 a card. Then there's standard with a $1,000 maximum value, estimated 3-week turnaround time, $22 per card. Express, $10,000 maximum value, 2-week turnaround, $64 a card. Walkthrough, this one's funny to me, $50,000 maximum value, 2-week turnaround, $170 per card. But you name it walkthrough, but it's a 2-week turnaround time. That's a real slow walk.
Yeah, so walkthrough, is that actually, are you mailing it in, or is that where you can bring it to the office?
No, it's just really poorly named.
Yeah, because that is, okay, I'm not going to shut up.
And again, the whole maximum value thing is hooey anyways, So if you want to take these 5 options, say, how fast do you want your card back? You want it back in 8 weeks? $15. You want it back in 3 weeks? $22. You want it back in 2 weeks? $170. That's all you have to do. I get that, right? Not have to sit for a half hour and sort back and forth between these 5 tiers and figure it out. And then, Troy, on top of it all, if your card is autoed, then there's a $2 upcharge. Just build it into your pricing.
Yeah, just build that in the pricing.
Oh, my God.
And then, like you said with the maximum value, I think one of the complaints we get a lot, or we hear people, is like, how do I know what my card's worth? What am I using? Am I using a book value? Am I using last comp? I just get rid of that. Get rid of the whole maximum value thing, because if you're new to grading, that stuff can kind of put you off and kind of slow you down, because you start thinking about, well, what is this card actually worth? What do I use? All that stuff.
Well, it's so obvious, too, that it's like that the point of it is, well, if your card is worth more, then you should pay us more. If maximum value was tied to some level of insurance or guarantee, right? Like, let's say that your card is authentic. Like, we're going to so if it's ever proven that your card is not authentic, then we'll refund you the money, since part of grading is authentication. Then I understand a maximum value charge, because you're essentially buying insurance against that, right? At certain values. But it just reeks of, well, we should make more money if your card is worth more. And I just think as a consumer, I don't like that. The only other kind of note I make is, I think we're going to see more and more of these grading integrations. I think it's cool that COMC is doing it. I hope they're not just limiting that to CSG, even though I have nothing against CSG at all. But as a collector, I want these integrations, and I want to have all my options. Our next story here. So a couple of days ago, Fanatics announced they are developing a live selling platform for sports cards and memorabilia that is set to launch in the fairly vague second half of this year. Fanatics, as most of you probably know, a year or so ago secured the rights to MLB, NBA, and NFL trading card licenses as those deals expire with Topps and Panini in the next couple of years. So they're basically going to take over control of the 3 major sports production of sports cards. And then preemptively, too, Fanatics purchased Topps, so that gets them essentially instantly into the baseball card game, at least. And there's a whole bunch of rumors that's been around forever about Panini too. So again, long and short of it is, before long, Fanatics will control card production for all 3 of the big sports. To me, Troy, what makes this announcement particularly spicy is right now there's lots of middlemen in sports cards that make a ton of money. And the play here for MLB, NBA, and NFL, at least, is that Fanatics might hire their own breakers and essentially go direct to consumer with breaks, and what the downstream effect that would have on hockey cards and Upper Deck. There's nothing that and a note here too is we keep hearing that Fanatics has no interest in hockey, and there hasn't been any rumors in that. So I don't think that there's sort of the direct, what they call it, threat or opportunity of them taking over or going direct to consumer essentially with sports cards, but just wanted to throw that note in there. I think it's more of a threat to someone like Whatnot, who's become a pretty big player in card breaking, and the hockey category has actually grown quite a bit on Whatnot over the past 6 months. So if Fanatics comes out and let's say they have a better user experience, Troy, or they just simply control the release of all the product in their own app, right? They just funnel it right to their app. What could this mean for Whatnot? Then you also got to throw in the whole eBay thing, right? Because they have a live selling platform that I know they're testing, and I haven't heard much about it in a while, but I guess that's another variable in this equation too. So I think the long and short of it for me is it feels like in the next 18 months or so, that there's going to be a big turf war in the live selling space, and Fanatics is going to have a huge ace up their sleeve, right? So do they kind of restrict supply to Whatnot, and then Whatnot responds by maybe more de-emphasizing traditional sports cards and trying to move deeper into like comics or video games, vinyl records, right? That sort of stuff. Then eBay, if they figure out their platform, do they focus on like singles in the secondary market, which is probably a little bit more their forte anyways right now? And then is Fanatics all about breaking new product and new product distribution? I don't know. What do you think?
I think this is a very touchy subject, and I feel like it's going to end up in a lawsuit, because with Fanatics controlling so many licenses and having this, and I know immediately there's going to be people saying they're funneling the best product to their own breakers. So I think down the road somewhere, if this goes the way I think it is, I bet there'll be a lawsuit somewhere. I'm curious if Fanatics will try to buy or lure some of the whatnot big breakers over to their platform in exclusive deals, which we kind of saw. You and me talked about this earlier this week about like Twitch and Microsoft's Mixer, I think was the one, and how Mixer hired away Ninja or whatever to their platform. Yeah. So I'm curious if that will happen with these breaking platforms, and it'll be interesting to watch how it plays out. Obviously, I think Whatnot's got a big head start. It's a very easy to use app. I actually used it. I feel it's very easy to use, and it'll be interesting to see how Fanatics comes out and what they do. But yeah, the whole product stuff and everything with the license control will be very interesting.
Well, I think you have to remember too, Troy, that Fanatics is a huge company. They're big. And they're big in the way of, and you think of, okay, what does Fanatics do? To me, Fanatics and like Amazon have a lot of comparatives where Amazon is really a logistics company. They're just better at getting you what you want fast.
Yeah, well, Fanatics is a logistics company too, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what they are too. So why, being Fanatics, being a multi-billion-dollar logistics company, they're going to look at wait a minute, card manufacturer produces cards, sends it to distributor who makes a pile of money, who sends it to a shop who makes a pile of money, and then, or to a breaker, and then to the end user. Why are we giving away all the pie when we're probably a better logistics company than any of these people anyways? We're just going to go straight to the consumer.
Yeah,
right. And so it's not just like live breaking platform like Whatnot. It's what's going to happen to all the big distributor companies, what's going to happen to Dave and Adams, to Blowout, to all these.
Well, yeah, and Fanatics started cutting out distributors. We know that in baseball. They've started to cut out one of them for sure. And boy, this is an antitrust study maybe going on in a while. Let's see how this all plays out, but it'll be interesting.
And again, the caveat here is hockey is excluded from this, at least for the time being. So it's more on like what would the downstream effect be on hockey, but it'll be really interesting to follow. All right, last bit of hobby news is we do have one local card show shout out. Remember, send us any local card shows that have hockey, and we're happy to shout them out on an upcoming show. Just get us as much as the detailed information as you can. So this upcoming weekend, Troy, the Evolutions Sports Card Show in Richmond Hill, Ontario. Next Saturday, February 11th. Goes from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's at the Royal Canadian Legion at 233 Center Street East. $2 admission, 12 and under are free. Okay, now we're going to talk about the PWCC Premier. The February Premier Auction is now live. PWCC, of course, is a Gongshow partner and sponsor, and we'd like to thank them for supporting us in the hockey hobby. There's not a ton of hockey cards in this month's Premier, but there are some really good ones, though, so it's a quality, not a quantity. In total, we have 8 cards in the hockey category for the Premier Auction. 4 of the 8 are McDavid, and there are 4, though, that we think are pretty noteworthy and want to highlight a little bit, and I'll let you go first, Troy.
I just like to look at this card to see what it does, but it's the 2015, obviously. Upper Deck Young Guns, Connor McDavid, rookie. They have a BGS 10 black label. I always find these fascinating when they're out there. The card has a pop of 35. To me, the black label is still one of the best looking slab out there. I think it's very highly coveted, looks great. And that's when you get a BGS 10, and then all the subgrades are 10 as well.
I really feel like, Troy, that it signifies the penultimate copy of a sports card.
Yeah.
Like the highest grade possible, and more so than like an SGC gold label. PSA doesn't really have anything above a 10. But it represents the best of the best of the best.
Yeah, and for how tough I am on BGS sometimes, I do think the black label is fantastic. So this card recently sold on November 22nd of last year via the PWCC Vault for $25,000. So, use that as my base comp. I'm curious to see where it goes now, since it's been a couple months since that sale. It also did sell on October 22nd, 2022 via Golden for $24,600. So the last 2 comps are right in that $25,000 range. So this is one quick one. I want to watch it and see what it ends up. Current bid is $12,000 US, and I believe there's a week and 4 days left, I think, in the Premier. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's the time left. So it'll be interesting to watch this pricing and see how far it goes up.
Yeah, and just a quick note on that. So you said the last comp, or the one you're going off of, is the PWCC Vault sale for $25,000. So if you just compare it to the 2015 Young Gun PSA 10, last sale there was 3,200. So there's like an 8 times multiplier almost between, and that kind of shows you how premium the BGS 10 Black Label is.
Yep. Second card, 2020 Metal Universe, the 97 Retro PMG Gold, Austin Matthews. Obviously, it's a 1-1. It's in a BGS 8 slab. That one is available in this month's premiere. I always love when I'm not the biggest PMG fan, but I do like to see when the 1-1s come up, the golds, to see how those go. So this card, obviously PMGs have become highly important in the last, I don't know, what do you say, 2 years, maybe 2 to 3 years. They've seemed to just explode onto their values have seemed to just risen exponentially. They've always been, cool and kind of cool looking, but now I think the values are really getting up there. So this card, this Austin Matthews last sold raw that I could find on November 10th, 2021 for $21,750.46 US. This was via an eBay auction, and I did check Terapeak, and it showed it's paid. So obviously it's the same card. So whoever bought it probably put it in the BGS slab, and now it's on the PWCC Premier. I think it'll be interesting to see what this card goes. It's slabbed in a BGS slab with an 8 grade. The subgrades are an 8 for centering, 8 for corners, 8.5 for edges, and a 9 for surface, which I gotta believe are extremely high for a PMG card, because these are pretty notorious for having surface issues and some other stuff going on with them. Current bid,
I think one important note on this card in particular is this is the first Matthews PMG, right? Because prior to that, they hadn't made them since 2015. And given that it's the retro and it's the gold, this should be the ultimate Austin Matthews PMG card, right? It's the first one, it's the retro, and it's the 101.
Man, you're a PMG expert. I love that insight. Current bid, $7,000 US. I'm guessing that goes up. And just for fun, I started looking at all the other kind of gold retro PMGs that I could find, and I saw the McDavid PSA 8 sold on April 30th of 2022 for $106,000 US. And then I found the Kaprizov Gold Retro PMG sold in a BGS 7.5 slab on April 9th, 2022 for $28,800 US. And then the final one I found was a Gold Retro PMG of Leon Draisaitl in a PSA 8 slab sold on December 9th, 2021 for $7,600 US. So again, this will be a good one to watch. Matthews' first Gold Retro PMG.
All right, a couple that stood out to me. First off, there's a 2005 SP Authentic Sidney Crosby Future Watch Auto, BGS 1010. So another BGS pristine. Not a black label, but it is a BGS grade 10. Troy, there's a couple kind of crisscrossing things with this card that I think make it real fascinating to me. It has not been a great run, as we've talked about on the show, for Future Watch Autos over the past 6 months or so, especially on the high-end side. But a BGS 1010, though, is pretty rare. Of the 999 Future Watch Autos for Crosby, there's only 51 with the BGS 10 pristine grade, which is actually higher than I would have thought.
Mm-hmm.
But, right, that's a way to... And we've talked about, well, maybe part of the problem with Future Watch Autos is that, going back to that replaceability factor and that they're fairly replaceable, well, now you're taking roughly 1,000 down to 51. You're dramatically reducing the ability to replace it. And so this one should go for a little bit more. To kind of illustrate how rare they are, the last one of these that sold was on September 24th in the PWCC Weekly of 2015 for $1,801 US. So that's like 7.5 years ago. These do not come up for sale very often. Another little comparison, Troy, is the highest sale to date on any Crosby Future Watch Auto was a PSA 10 that last April sold for $19,800 US. It's only a PSA 10's only sold once since then. It was in July for around $15,000. So it'll be really interesting to see where this card lands. I'm expecting a big number, and the current bid is $12,000. Then the other one that really stood out to me was a 2015-16 Exquisite Collection Connor McDavid Rookie Signatures Black. It's out of 10, and this is a BGS 9.5, but it's a true gem mint. So all 4 subgrades are 9.5. This is a huge, huge card. It's a rookie auto. There is no patch, so you can't quite compare it, I don't think, to the Cup RPA out of 99. but it's a very elegant design. Just like it's awesome looking card, like you'd expect from Exquisite. There's the regular rookie signatures from Exquisite was out of 149. I did find another one that was out of 35 parallel, but the out of 10 black has not sold publicly until it'll sell in this auction. So this will be the first public sale for this card. Top sale, any version of this card was an out of 49 BGS 9.5 this past June for $7,200 US. And again, I get it's not an RPA, but it's a very, very rare rookie auto from one of the most chased and valuable brands ever, Exquisite. And if you don't have $250,000 to get a really, really nice McDavid rookie, even at a record sale, this will probably be well below that. And it's out of 10. It's never sold publicly. It's Exquisite. I'm thinking it should go for a big number. Current bid's $9,000 US. You can check out the 4 cards we just mentioned or any of the other amazing treasures from other sports in the February Premier Auction at pwccmarketplace.com. So be sure to do that. Okay, Troy, let's look out our window here. Did pigs fly? A little Pink Floyd reference to... who was that? Was that Roger Waters or was it...
I'm probably
the band would get back together on Pigs Fly.
Yeah.
Well, it appears, Troy, that the cup is actually coming out. So last show we had speculated that 2022 Series 2 might be next, and then almost right after the show started to see all the pitter-patter of information throughout the social media world, our contacts, the internets that said that Series 2 likely getting pushed to early March. And it appears that on February 22nd, we're going to have the cup. Now, one important note here to remember is there's no checklist as of yet. Well, I haven't checked today, but there wasn't as of yesterday, Saturday. So that is the really definitive marker that we look for, where we can say, okay, this date is largely set in stone. But all signs are pointing to February 22nd. And there's a lot of chatter out there right now. So that kind of tends to make me think that the 22nd will be the date. Now, if you think when was the cup last released? So 2019, the cup was released on February 24th, 2021. So if the 22nd date holds, it'll be 6 days shy of 2 years, Troy, since the last release of the cup. Kind of crazy to think about. It'll also be almost the end of the third full NHL season for many of the key chases. And I think because of that, it's going to make buying, whether it be singles or the set or buying into breaks, a much different experience, as there definitely won't be as much of a speculation or prospecting aspect of this. It's going to be buying more established or chasing more established players. And given that the cup's coming out, I've been thinking a lot, Troy, over the last few days, kind of some really key questions maybe, or what are the most interesting aspects about this. And I want to run some of those by you that really are kind of as a result of the lengthy delay for getting this product out. So number one is the fall of Laffy. What would his out of 99 RPAs have sold for 18 months ago versus what they're going to go for right now?
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that there's a significant theoretical difference here. Like he would have been maybe even bigger than Kaprizov, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. With the hype he had, yeah, definitely.
Then I was thinking about the rise of Robertson on the other side of that spectrum. And, I think too, especially if you mix that with I don't know the best way to say this, because Kaprizov hasn't been bad, but his season's been a teeny tiny bit meh, maybe. Right? And so given that we have this rise of Robertson and Kaprizov is kind of there, it kind of begs the question, who the biggest chase will be. Mm-hmm. Would you be surprised if Robertson is selling for more than Kaprizov?
Oh, I'm going to bet it will be Robertson selling for more than Kaprizov.
Where I think 6 months ago, it would have been no-brainer that Kaprizov would have been the biggest chase. Right? So again, it's fascinating how the timing of this kind of changes so many of these big variables. So here's a question for you, Troy. Who will be the bigger chase at this point when the cup comes out? It will be, from a goalie perspective, will it be Sorokin or Ottinger?
Oh, man. I'm going to say it's going to be a dead even heat. I don't know. I mean, it'll be so stinking close, I bet. I mean, they're both still playing fantastic.
Okay, another one for you. Over the last 12 months of the delay, who do you think has benefited more, Tim Stützle or Dylan Cousins?
That's a good question.
I think Stützle.
Stützle was what I first thought of, and then I was thinking about, I think Stützle's the one. I'll go with what first popped in my head, so I'm going to say him.
Then I was thinking about, over this delay, if that gave Upper Deck the opportunity to make any optimizations or adjustments. I mean, this is totally speculation, right? So like a guy that came to mind is like Stuart Skinner, right? Had this come out 2 years ago, what would his treatment have been in the cup versus the last 3 months, right? And was there even time to kind of make adjustments for certain players that may have emerged or not panned out, like Upper Deck might have thought? And then I think even a little more juicier topic is, Troy, do you think there's a chance that they've adjusted print runs at all over this to adjust to the changing market conditions? And like, I'm thinking maybe printed more of it than they had originally thought they would.
I would bet if they're smart, I bet they did. I mean, you got to look at the environment and everything that's going on and adjust because it came out so late. It's not like the stuff has been sitting in a warehouse for 2 years, like it was supposed to be originally released. So, I bet they did. I bet they have adjusted it.
So other than sort of the questions or considerations that I just mentioned, anything you've been thinking about cup related, that kind of key questions that you have?
Besides your questions, I just want it out. I'm now tired of the cup, 2020 or whatever. What release are we on?
2020,
2021. I'm sick of thinking it's coming out. I just want it out. I want to see it live. That's all I care about right now. I've been beaten down for 2 years. So let's get it out.
Do you have CCFS? Chronic cup fatigue syndrome?
Troy? I do. I just want it out, please. It's February 22nd, right? That's what we're guessing. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking. And just to make sure everyone understands, I want to go through the kind of the basics of configuration and price for the cup, because that's becoming actually pretty relevant now that it looks like it is coming out. So each hobby box or tin contains 1 pack with 6 cards. And from like the Upper Deck sell sheet, it says each box of the cup contains 1 rookie auto patch card, 1 rookie veteran or legend patch card, 1 non-memorabilia autograph card, 1 non-auto insert, memorabilia, printing plate, and or redemption card, and 1 base set card numbered to 249. Current pre-sale pricing in the U.S. is around $1,250. That's what I found, like David Adams and Steel City Blowout is sold out. That's about $200, $210 per card, which is kind of crazy. It's $1,400 Canadian dollars in Canada. I got that on 401 Games website. It's about $200 US cheaper, or $200 cheaper than in the US, Troy.
Interesting.
We are going to the expo in April, Troy. You might want to think about that.
Yeah, there you go.
The equivalency is about $1,000 US dollars. I think so. We're expecting the checklist has to come out then in the next handful of days. One of the more interesting thought exercises to do would be to go through that checklist, which I'm guessing is going to be very big, bigger than you would think, and try to estimate how many $500 and up cards there are in there, right? Because let's go back to, what was it? Was it David Jones?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yep.
The guy, his cup rookie, $2.25. Remember, this is $200 a card.
Yep.
You're paying. And so you're going to have guys, whether it be now or a few years ago, that are cards that are worth nothing, essentially. So to break even on a box, like, what are the odds? Like, how many $500 cards are there? And the odds that you'd have at least 2 to break even or come ahead, I'm guessing, are going to be pretty small, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes. yes, and yes.
Here's another funny thing that I found. So I was looking at pre-sale prices, and I was trying to find them in the U.S., and I went to David Adams and Steel City, and then I go to Blowout, and they're apparently sold out or not offering 2020 the cup. But Troy, they did have a case of 2015 the cup, which you can buy right now.
Yep.
$35,000 US, right? I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, wait a minute. On our last show, we just talked about this case. And sure enough, we did a whole segment on how somebody through Heritage Auction paid $42,000 US for the same thing, when they could have just gone to Blowout and paid $7,000 less and bought their case of the cup. That's a do your research, people, before you buy stuff. That's a $7,000 oops. Only other note on the cup is we're planning a whole bunch of exciting topics and guests that will coincide with the cup release. It is a big deal. We are definitely going to cover it here on the Gong Show, so you can stay tuned for that. I don't know, try anything else on the cup that you think we should bring up, or are we just waiting for the checklist?
We just wait for the checklist, and then we have fun going through that and thinking about it and thinking about all those cards that I'm not going to get. So that's what I say we do.
All right, well, that is our show for Monday. If you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, and how could you not, and want to support us, and want to join the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, you can do so via Patreon and become a patron for $5 a month. Join our out of 99 support level here. Forever have that title. You can find a link to our Patreon via the hockeycardsgongshow.com website, via the Patreon website, Patreon, and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. There's a link in the show description for the podcast on the app you're listening to us on right now, or via our Instagram and TikTok. In our profile, there's a link tree with the link there as well. We're on almost every social media platform: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Hockey Cards Gongshow and follow us there. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. Have a great start to your week, and we will see you all on Thursday.